Tuesday, and it's time to go live. Here we are, Tuesday. Glad to be with you this morning. This is Eric. I'm not in the yard on the bucket, and that really disappoints me. In fact, I want to talk about that just a little bit today because that has been an issue that's created a problem for me. And I'm going to talk about the problem that's created for me, okay? So today, I want to talk about maintaining your mental acuity. Yesterday, something happened to me, and I became grossly aware of the fact that I lost my edge. And I mean, I really lost it. Most of you know I talk about this a lot. I have a routine that I do every morning. I get up somewhere between 5 and 5:30, and I start to write. And I'll write somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 to 500 words or more before I have breakfast. It's just what I do. I've done that every day for 15 years or so. The result is I have massive amounts of stuff that I've written, but I do that on purpose because I want to maintain a sharp mind. I want to maintain my finger on what's going on. I want to be able to address issues as they arrive. And sometimes that means that you write about them. And for me, it's the easiest way to do that. I have said over and over again, and it's my position that experts don't write, that people become experts because they write. And so if you want to master things, then the path to do that is writing. And I've taught that forever. And the fact is that it continues to remain unchallenged and has always been right. So I try to maintain that. Yesterday, I got up, normal time, normal routine, looked at my computer, and I could not make myself write a word. Now, I'm not talking about writer's block. That's not what I'm talking about. I have a routine that I was taught by my high school principal. What's that been? A long time ago. That is really, really an easy way to break a writer's block. And it's very effective. It works great. One of the things that you have to do is you have to get in a routine of writing. Now, my high school principal had been a writing literature teacher when he was a school teacher and then became a high school principal. So he was extremely helpful to me. I might have been the only person who paid attention in that class, but that doesn't make any difference. It might have been the only time, and maybe 10 or 12 times in the high school that I paid attention, but I did pay attention in that class. So we're not talking about writer's block. What I'm talking about is I just could not function. I found myself not staring at an empty screen, staring at an empty screen from an empty head and a really sick heart. And that's a bad, bad combination, and it's a bad place to be. So how did I get in that condition? That was the thing that bothered me the most, is how did I find myself in this situation? What can I do to change that? What do I know that can make a difference at this point in time? So I'm going to give you 3 things today. These 3 things are pretty obvious. These are things that everybody should know. But the first one is pay attention to your health. The first thing I did when I found myself staring at a blank screen with a sick heart and an empty head was I went and checked my blood sugar. Sure enough, there was a problem there. In fact, there was a problem there all day yesterday. Over and over again, there was a problem all day yesterday. And for those of you who don't know, and it doesn't really matter, when somebody's blood sugar gets low, their brain kind of goes into this, what I call, it shifts into neutral state. And that's kind of where I was at, shifted into a neutral state. And I couldn't get out of that. And that tends to make a huge difference. So you have to pay attention to your mental health. The first thing that you do, if you find yourself in that situation, is pay attention to your mental health. The second one, your physical health. The second one is, because that impacts your mental health. The second one is to maintain routines. I have these goofy routines. I'm a very routine kind of guy. I would like to think that as an old hippie, routines don't make any difference, but they really do. We really become very much creatures of habit. And I have these routines, and they've been broken so badly by this shutdown, mask wearing, pandemic mess that we're in. And it's really been a struggle for me. The routines are broken. And one of the routines that I do, and I know this sounds goofy and nobody else does this besides me, but I love to cook. I don't like to try to figure out what to cook. So excuse me, years ago, I decided this is what I would do. because you really love to cook and you like the adventure of it, I would go to the store, whatever I could find on in the store that was on sale, I'd figure out how to make a meal out of it. So I would go to the store every single day. And it was part of my routine. I would drop my wife. I would go to pick up my wife from work. I would stop at the grocery store. In 15 minutes, I'd have everything I needed. Everything was fresh. I had all these reasons for doing this, and it was amazing. And I haven't been able to do that for months. I just haven't been able to do it for months. And I broke that routine. And you say, how important is that routine? You're talking about supper. No, for me, it was much more important than that. The next thing that I noticed was that, and Facebook's really great about reminding me, and I noticed it last night, Facebook's really great about reminding you of what you've done in the past on that particular day 4 years back. This time period right now, I have always spent this time right now with my grandson since he was 1. And so my 5-year routine of doing this has been broken. Can't do that right now for lots of reasons. One is that I don't want to get into that, but I can't do that. And because I can't do that, that routine has been broken. And I found myself really struggling because I missed that. And I've told you all many, many times about the kind of influence that he has had in my life and my creativity. I love to spend time with him because it refreshes my mind. It puts me in that world of a 5-year-old. Now, how cool is that? And it really helps me to have greater mental acuity if I have that routine. And I've not been able to maintain that routine this summer. Usually we spend from Memorial Day to Labor Day, I spend a significant amount of time with him. I haven't spent any time from Memorial Day to Labor Day with him, and it's really affected me. It's really affected me more than I thought it would. Affected me to the point where I'm staring at a blank screen with an empty head and a sick heart. And then the third thing is renew your commitment to your purpose. Renew your commitment to your purpose. My purpose is to help people. I bring clarity out of confusion. That's my goal. You've all heard that. It's simple makes awesome easy. And I just got sick of it. I didn't want to hear another person's problem. I didn't want to hear another thing. I didn't want to, it's like, no, stop. It's enough. And I struggled with that because now I'm running contrary to my purpose. And you have to renew your commitment to your purpose. So last night, because I really struggled with this, last night I decided I would do something that I've been needing to do for a long time. And it would take me back to that section of creativity once I kind of realized what was going on. And you'll see it right there. It's a little hard for me to put my finger on it, but you'll see it right there. I decided to redo my logo. And I decided that I'd just do that. I've been doing graphics training for a long time. I'm not a graphics artist. I don't claim to be one. I know a couple of tools. I know a couple of things. I know that one of the things that I've routinely done, and you'll still think that I should probably be committed to a mental institute for this. I love to go to the produce department and watch the play on colors from the fruits and the vegetables in the produce department. I used to love to go to the shopping mall and look at the colors for different seasons that you would see in shirts and dresses and that kind of stuff. That play on colors is really important to me. And so I use that. That's what I do. That's what I talk about. That's what I teach every Friday. I've taught every Friday now for 4.5 years. That webinar on that platform. And so I thought, well, let me do this. I'm gonna take this. I have a purpose that I want to accomplish. I have clarity as to what it's supposed to be, and I knocked that out, and I love it. I just absolutely love it. I think it looks fine. I think it accomplishes what I wanted to do. So this morning, instead of staring at that blank screen with an empty head and a sick heart, I decided that what I would do is I would write about one of my favorite topics, and that's the psychology of color. And I got so enwrapped in what I was writing about, I've had to stop twice because there was things I had to do. One of them was this live feed, and the other one was take my wife to work. And I've been enraptured in writing about the thing that I love, and that is the psychology of colors. I used to travel everywhere I went. I traveled with a color wheel, and I got so familiar with the stuff that was on that. It took me back to a good place. So included in that purpose is this thing about color. And so I decided that I would change my direction by changing, and I'm the one who's responsible for that. Nobody else is responsible for that. That's my responsibility, not anybody else's. So if you're struggling, Eric, then you're the one who needs to fix it. One of my favorite quotes from a Napoleon Hill book was, guy walked in, he was blaming all these people and all these reasons for his lack of success. And Napoleon Hill says, I want to introduce you to the people who are really responsible. And he took him to this is the way the story goes. He took him to a spot in his office, and he had him stand in front of a door, and he opened the door, and on the other side of the door, there was a full-length mirror. And he said, you're staring at the only person who can fix your problem. Thank you for joining me on this Tuesday. You're staring at the only person who could fix my problem. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.